Why is there an entire generation of women who are completely exhausted? Not in a way a good sleep can fix or a good weekend can fix. These women who have these good lives, good partners, kids that they love, and still feel like they're running on empty every single day. What if it's not burnout? What if it's not depression? What if it's not even your relationship? But what if it's something that's actually happening inside your nervous system? Here's what happens when this goes unnamed. You start thinking your exhaustion as a personal failure. Like your emotional numbness that's coming online starts to feel like evidence, like, maybe something is wrong with me. You pull back from people you love, from your partner, not because you don't want to, because you actually have nothing to give. And the longer it goes unnoticed, the more you feel isolated. So in this video, I'm going to give you a language for something most women are carrying: the invisible emotional load. It's not the chores, it's not the logistics, but it's the constant emotional tracking, the regulating that so many women do for their entire families every single day. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay, so we've heard about the mental load, right? The chores, the logistics, the appointments, the school pickups, and yes, those are real and it's a lot, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking what's happening underneath that. Something that doesn't actually have a checklist, something you can't photograph or put in a whiteboard. So for example, mother is sitting on a couch. Looks like she's resting because she's on the couch, but inside her head, she's already clocked that one of her kids is getting overstimulated. The other one is feeling left out. Her partner who just walked in seems a little off. Her mom this morning sounded a little lonely, and she's already prepping for the bedtime routine because last night ended up in meltdowns. And somewhere underneath all of that, she's quietly calculating, is tonight, going to end up in stress or tension? She hasn't moved, but her nervous system has been working the whole time. And why does this matter to be discussing right now is because we build this whole cultural conversation around visible labor, dishes, laundry, school runs, and almost nothing around this. And so we're adding more to our plate, but we're not understanding what's already on our plate. So the constant scanning and tracking and the holding, women aren't just doing more, they're feeling more, they're tracking more, they're regulating more. And we don't respect that because we truly cannot see it. And why can't we see it? Because as humans, we just are really not good at acknowledging something that exists that we can't see and measure, right? You cannot put emotional vigilance on a spreadsheet. You can't see it. And once you understand this, you can stop blaming yourself for being tired when you shouldn't be. And you start calling it for what it is, labor. So I'll be honest, when I started to understand this and why women are wired this way, why I'm wired this way, everything started to make more sense. And I was able to express what I needed. And because I understood what I needed more. I work with so many women, and one of the things I always see is that most women, specifically who are emotionally attuned, normally grow up with parents who didn't have healthy ways of expressing their emotions. They might be in the arena of emotionally immature parents. Because we didn't have so much language on emotions, they either overly expressive or they were shutting down. Either way, the child learned something critical. And that is, I need to fix and help the situation so that I can feel connected, so I can stay safe. And that is called being parentified. We know what to do. We know what's coming. We know what to say or how to control the situation so it can be okay. And now, if that's you, then by the time you were an adult, emotionally attunement wasn't just like a skill, it was a survival strategy. So those neural pathways that kept you safe as a child are still running in your adult relationship. And that's probably why you're such a nice, great, beautiful person to be around. But it's also why you might be sometimes tired of holding all this responsibility of other people's emotions. And because you're so good at it, nobody's questioning it. nobody stops to ask if it's costing you anything. You just become emotionally strong, the aware one, the one who holds it all together, and everyone just lets you be you because you're great. You're great at supporting everybody. So good to have you around. But being good at something does not mean it has no cost. Like, think about an athlete. The more intensely they train, the stronger they become, but they need still rest, days off, protein, recovery, sleep. Emotional attunement is also that. You may be really strong, you may be really good with emotions, you may really know what to do, how to do it, you're very capable, and you're generally gifted because you've been holding space for so many people, but your nervous system still needs recovery. And most women are just not getting it because they don't know how, they don't know that they're doing it. So what is happening when recovery doesn't happen? It's not just about being tired. The consequences of emotional overload can be much more than fatigue. It's something that we don't talk about enough, honestly, and that is the constant low grade emotional vigilance. And so the cost when someone's in that constant low grade emotional vigilance is that their nervous system never fully exists in a state where there's like an off switch where they can access pleasure, they can access rest, they can give the responsibility off to somebody who also is capable, or even creating an environment around themselves with people who can step up, who can fill your shoes, who can learn how to fill your shoes, right? So you create this environment where only you can do what you do, and therefore your nervous system can never really fully chill. So over time, it produces burnout, like we said, resentment, emotional numbness, feeling exhausted to even feel, chronic fatigue maybe, or difficulty receiving care, loss of libido. And nowhere is this more visible or more misunderstood than your intimacy with your partner. Because your partner comes in wanting connection, wanting closeness, maybe even wanting sex. So when he comes to you, even with love, with the best of intentions, something in your body can register it as like, one more person who needs something from me. It starts feeling like another form of emotional labor. And why it's so important to understand this is because women can start to feel like they're broken, they're depressed, something is wrong with them and their relationship, when they're actually just given on empty tank. So now, what does recovery actually look like? Because I think this is where the conversation usually gets frustratingly vague. Most people give advice where you can just maybe get more help, ask your partner to do more, delegate more, rest more. And don't get me wrong, those things can help, but they help in the short term. And here's why. It's not just about reducing the physical task, it's about your partner actually understanding what you're doing in the first place. Right? Think about it this way. After a big cry, what do you want to do? Sleep, nap. Because your body just did something, and emotions are not abstract. They take real physiological energy. And when your partner doesn't have that context, when he sees you sitting on the couch and thinks you're fine, he has no framework for understanding why you feel this way. He's not just being dismissive on purpose, he just literally cannot see what you're doing, right? So one of the most important conversations that you can have is talking about how emotions work, and you can't do that without understanding how emotions work for you. So how emotional tracking costs in the nervous system, how holding everybody's feelings is labor, even when it's invisible, not as a complaint, but as information. And that understanding, being seen by the person closest to you, it in itself is a form of recovery. Another really important thing that a woman who's going through this, someone you know is going through this, can do, and that is finding spaces where you are not the one doing all the emotional holding. Because if you're thinking about talking through this only with your partner, the truth is that there's a relationship complexity. There's a history and roles between you and your partner, even if it's the most loving relationship. But your female friendships, on the other hand, the ones where you can say, I'm exhausted for carrying everyone. And nobody asks you to justify it or minimize it or look at the brighter side. If they do, they're not great friends. Where someone just mirrors it back to you and says, yeah, it's me too. That's not indulgent. That's your nervous system being regulated by another nervous system that gets it without needing an explanation. And beyond that, other things that you can do is journal. Not like as a to-do list, but actually do the emotional work where you're asking yourself, how am I feeling? What am I carrying right now? What do I want? What do I need? What haven't I said out loud? The process of externalizing what's living internally and then releasing it does something really real. It's so helpful. Another thing that you can do is therapy. And I want to say this deeply. It is not a crisis tool, therapy. It's a maintenance tool. It's the one place where you don't have to manage anyone's feelings but your feelings, where you just get to be honest, where someone holds the space that you don't have to. Your nervous system doesn't recover from emotional labor through rest alone. It recovers through being emotionally met. And why so many women stay depleted is because they keep waiting for that to happen on its own. But you cannot just keep giving from empty. And what I want you to hear is that filling back up is not selfish. It's not extra. It's not something you earn because you've been so good and helpful. It's the thing that makes everything else possible, right? Your girlfriends, your journaling, your therapist, the honest conversation with your partner about what's actually happening. These aren't just luxuries you fit in whenever life slows down. Life doesn't slow down, if you noticed. Putting these are the infrastructure in your life. When you start treating them that way, when you stop apologizing for needing to be met, that's when the exhaustion starts to lift. And it's not because things are changed, people don't need you, but because you stop carrying it completely alone. And so I want to make sure you're not just left with this sitting in your head, where you have the awareness and you have more compassion and understanding towards yourself, but nothing really changes, because then that's when the cycle continues. So let's talk about what it actually looks like to bring this into the conversation with your partner. And the reason for this is that the invisible labor is actually really hard to articulate because of its nature. It's invisible. And you can also run into risks often sounding like you're attacking or you're keeping score. You can think of this conversation about visibility, not about, pointing out flaws, incapabilities, or even changing the other, right? The invisible emotional load stays invisible partly because the person carrying it is so used to it. So you are so used to it, and that you can barely articulate something you do so easily. They don't say, I was emotionally monitoring the entire family for 6 hours. They don't fully register that they're even doing that. The first step isn't asking your partner for more. The first step is making it visible to yourself. So noticing what you're tracking, naming what you're holding, giving language to the work you're doing, and then sharing it. And then this is the important part, bringing it to your partner, not as an accusation, but as an invitation. I want to show you something that happens inside of me I don't think you can see. Not because you're not looking, but because it's never been shown to you. That framing changes everything. It moves the conversation from blame to understanding. You're awesome. Acknowledge the work you're doing. If you need a break, go take it. If you need other people to step in, allow them to step in. Go find your girlfriends. And if you found this interesting, please share, write comments below. I'll see you in the next video.